Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at onpurposely.com.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this chance to talk about technology. Help me speak wisely in this and open our eyes to see and our ears to hear your words, hope and truth, as we talk about artificial intelligence today. In your name, amen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Gospel Tech Podcast. My name is Nathan Sutherland, and this podcast is dedicated to helping families love God and use tech. Today, we are diving in the deep end of technology because it just needs to be said, and we're not diving in long, so you can see from the length of this episode that it's going to be a quick deep dive. But we do need to address artificial intelligence. We need to bring up this topic because it's already impacting families everywhere. If you have digital technology that connects to the internet, you're being impacted. You don't have to know everything about it because honestly, nobody has all the information right now, including the people that are making it. And that's something I want you to know because as a consumer, I need you to be informed. And as a follower of Christ, I need you to be courageous. You don't have to be scared of AI. It's not something your brain can't conceptualize. It is really heavy and really big and really deep. And therefore, we're diving in because your kids are going to be engaging it. And I want you to come at it with more than just, I don't really get it, so I don't care, because you should care. And I'll explain why today. Today, we're going to talk about 3 benefits of AI. There are some amazing things that are coming out of this, and I can absolutely see how the Lord will use it. And 3 cautions. I will say I was more optimistic before the release of ChatGPT, also known as GPT-4. That was the 2023 release. So whenever you're listening to this, just know that's the version I'm talking about because there are some learnings from that and also some cautions that we can apply, hopefully, for our next experiments in this area that is definitely growing. It is not going away. It will be the next stage of our technological development in the digital world. And that's really what we need to address is how does that affect our families and our kiddos primarily, and then there's other stuff we can say. So that is the arc of today's conversation. Consider this your primer on AI for at least the initial discussion, and with no further ado, we'll get this conversation started. Welcome to the Gospel Tech Podcast, a resource for parents who feel overwhelmed and outpaced as they raise healthy youth in a tech world. As an educator, parent, and tech user, I want to equip parents with the tools, resources, and confidence they need to raise kids who love God and use tech. Thank you to everyone who has helped make this podcast possible. Thank you for listening, for liking, for subscribing. Thank you for going to gospeltech.net and donating. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and this work only happens because of your support. So thank you for being on this journey with us. This conversation today, what do we do with AI? The 3 benefits, the 3 cautions of AI is something near and dear to my heart because AI is amazing and it's incredible to watch as people have developed this super powerful technology. And it's also kind of scary because of how we've done it. And it's played out a little bit like we feared it might in some way. So first, let's just talk what is artificial intelligence. When we use artificial intelligence in today's conversation, we're talking about the version that currently exists. So GPT-4. There are other versions out there that haven't been released to the public as of this recording date in June 2023. But the general idea is you have a machine that can learn from itself. That's kind of our premise. It's not just an algorithm. It's not just a math problem that's static and it just does the exact same process. So Google for years or Meta through Facebook has used algorithms, these really intense math problems that can use a series of if-thens. And then based on this flow chart, it can get to some very intelligent and analytically deep responses. So it can tell this person is interested in this stuff, so I'll give it more of that. AI has been trained to learn, which is different. So if you go to GPT-4, they've toned it down a little bit for the public side, but the premise is this thing learns, and it actually learns from itself. So GPT-5, the version that hasn't been released to the public, Sebastian Bubeck, a Princeton professor who now works at Microsoft has been able to do some hands-on training. And he said basically like, yeah, this thing culled through all of the internet and taught itself. So it now can learn and it can respond to your questions and it can, give you great insights into articles and things like that. But it ran out of content on the internet. So it went through all the podcasts in the world and all the videos on YouTube. And it transcribed all that to text, and then it trained itself off that, and it's able to train itself and then assess how well it did in learning that information and then keep just the good stuff. And then it started creating its own information, right? So this is AI, this ability to learn, just like a little kid learns. It has questions, and then it locks into that information, and then it can apply that information in future responses. And if you haven't used GPT-4, or also known as ChatGPT, it's kind of the major version that we've all come to know, and it's been implemented through Microsoft products, through like Bing. It's really cool. So let's talk benefits. The benefit of something like an AI versus an algorithm is it's super smart. It's very, very good at finding solutions. So I'll go two directions with this. You're already using it. So if you've ever done a Bing search, or if you've ever, and you're like, Bing, why would I ever do it? I search Google out of Bing. And that is true. All the search engines will have this, but it's very good at finding solutions. You might have searched something, and you'll notice instead of it just bringing up a list of results, it actually will give you a snippet of an article. So for like, if I'm looking up something on AI, it'll give me a snippet of an article, and then it will highlight the section that most relates to what I was talking about. AI is basically like you have an intern that is finding you the information you want. It doesn't always get it right now. Again, it's been out for less than a year in this format for public use, but it is really good at cutting through the clutter and finding you information. And that's a huge benefit. So that's number one, is its ability to find a solution. And I guess I mixed two, because I said cutting through the clutter is actually the second. So let's talk about that one first, because that was the example I used. Sorry for the confusion. But the idea of being able to cut through the clutter, we live in a world where right now we're beholden to some massive $1 trillion company's ability to give us a list. And we assume page one, number one, is the best option. And there's been some cool, algorithmic pieces where they can try to base it on your location or your search history, or triangulate based on who you're close to, or your purchasing habits. And that's interesting, but at some point that may not be the information you need or want. You just want to be able to make the decision on your own, and AI has the potential to do that well, to cut through the noise of to the point where online textbooks for schools are getting different information based on where you live. And it's not lying, but there are paragraphs that are there or aren't there. Time Magazine did a piece on this. I'm not making that up. You can go find the photos of the same topic in different areas. You're getting this micro-edited information because it's what your area wants to hear. AI has the potential to do that very terribly and really edit information. But it also has the ability to cut through some clutter and to give you the ability to get to primary sources more quickly and to make your own thoughts and opinions. And in a world that is just swimming in data points, AI is the thing that can help make some of those decisions and be an editor based on your preferences. Done right, AI would allow you to set your preferences, would allow you to make the call, and would give you the information you're actually looking for instead of making those decisions for you before you ever get a chance to even know it exists. So that's cutting through the clutter is a big thing AI is going to be able to do. A second benefit is this idea that it can find these solutions. And so I think the best example of this is in 2006. Man, I might be making up that date. But in 2006, I'm going to say that that's when this happened. It was very early AI in a research format. It replicated with a team. It was able to replicate the Nobel Prize winning 2001 research experiment that created the Bose-Einstein condensate. This substance that exists just a fraction of a degree above absolute zero, so negative 273.15 degrees centigrade. This idea that it is almost absolute zero. It has the ability then, you can do experiments on this because all the particles act like one giant particle. And that's super hard to make. And basically the research team was able to get it almost done. And then they gave the lasers to the AI, and it was able to do things that no human could do. I mean, pulsing the laser power and using them in ways that like a singular person wouldn't be able to coordinate well enough, or even a team. But it can do that. And that's really cool. AI is going to be able to do some things that like we know the solutions are out there. We just can't quite figure them out because we're a little too clunky. And AI can fill in those gaps. It can do what we tell it to do, and it can do it better than we can when we're dealing with science at the highest level. So it can find solutions that we didn't even know were an option. The pulsing of lasers is not the way the experiment was meant to be done. It just knew what it had to do, and it knew that this could could be done when working with the magnetic fields that it was dealing with. So that's really cool and really impressive and very hopeful. The final piece is AI is going to be really good when helping us accomplish goals. So again, it's good at breaking through the clutter. It's good at accomplishing goals. And that means we have some goals. Just take microplastics, for example. We have little bits of plastic, like microscopic little bits of plastic that never degrade in the snow of the Arctic because it evaporates. It's so small, it goes up with evaporation, condensates in rain, falls as snow, and then just stays there. And then critters get it in their system. So we have birds all over the world that have microplastics in them, even though the birds aren't ocean birds because it's rained microplastics in places it shouldn't have. That's concerning to us. We can't just filter that out. It's too small. But there are ways, hypothetically, to maybe eat that with like an algae or something. AI is going to help us figure out what would be good at consuming that particular compound without consuming the planet, right? Like what, we don't want to go too far. What can we do? I do want to note there's some concern, especially when it comes to some of the artistic and creative sides. I mentioned AI can be like having an intern. You can go to GPT and say, hey, make me an outline for, and you just tell you what a 5-paragraph essay, this other idea. And we use those things a lot, right? We have templates in Microsoft Word. We have templates in Canva. Having a template is not a bad thing. Even if it's for coding for like a website, that's not bad. We still need creative minds. A lot of what AI is replacing right now. I'm not saying that AI will never step over into stealing other people's ideas. We've seen that with the DALL-E and some of these other AI-driven artistic engines where they're stealing other people's ideas and mashing them together. That's bad. You can also fix that with AI. You could tag everything. It is possible to be done. AI is plenty smart. It's just a matter of motivation. So while we are concerned for the artistic side, trust me, artistic individuals, people with a mind and a gifting to know good ideas from bad ones, you're gonna need to help guide AI because at the end of the day, it can generate really cool stuff, but we still need the brains that can help it decide what was the best decision, help guide and focus all of this power that it has. So I do not worry for our artistic and our creatives in the world. I actually believe AI is gonna be one of our best helps for getting through some of just the mundanity of what we currently need. Right now, the coding levels for a lot of these giant companies, there's people just crunching code that shouldn't have to be done by a human anymore, to the point where like, we don't have anyone, when an excavator was made, we don't have anyone bemoaning that they don't get to dig ditches by hand anymore, right? Like, oh man, I wish I got to dig that canal with a shovel. Like no one says that. I wish I could die in a cave-in. Like that's not what we say. We have excavators and we have professionals that use those excavators. Even the excavators that are automated, like there are people making sure those things work and there will be people doing this work too. AI absolutely needs the steering hand. Even if it could do it on its own, one of the major pieces is making sure it doesn't. Like that's a really, really important because AI can be trained really well, but we don't always know what's going on with it. And that's where we bump to the concerns. But before we wrap it up, I just want to state those three again. AI is really good at cutting through the clutter. It's going to be able to accomplish tasks that humans either can't do well or at all, or we can't do efficiently. And that's the third piece, is that it's going to be really, really good at helping us accomplish tasks we can't yet do. So I use microplastics, solutions for things like desalination, getting salt water to be clean water. If you want that to be efficient and able to help people in some of the poorest, driest parts of the world, AI is going to be the process for getting us there in a way that is actually affordable. Things like fusion energy, making a star in a bottle. This idea of making electric power that is efficient and can be available to billions and not have to be burning off coal. Like it is available. We can already do it a little bit. We had one, I think 2022. One of the real first, I believe, is a Tomahawk fusion reactor started, and we got energy outputs that were in the net gain. So the basic premise being how much energy does it take to start it and run it, and how much energy does it produce? They got it to produce more than it took, which is the first time in human history. That's a huge deal. Then they shut that thing down. They got a lot more testing, but AI is going to be one of those things that will help us monitor that because fluctuation is such a thing, because these are so finicky. To do that kind of work, you need something that just operates a little faster than the human brain and a little better than a math problem. We need it to have wider parameters, and AI can do a lot of this work for us. But AI is also deeply concerning. If you are concerned about AI, you absolutely should be. Please continue to question it. The book Superintelligence is a great book to read. It's about 10 years old, and it basically is like you're reading about the Stone Age, of AI. These are the most futuristic thoughts from 10 years ago, and they don't come close to what is actually happening. In fact, the guy who invented or who co-founded OpenAI, which made ChatGPT, which now has been purchased by Microsoft, he was talking about how AI has happened in the exact opposite route. We thought it was going to replace manual work and then was going to move on to kind of some of the mediocre, like working with accounting and stuff, right? Numbers and number crunching. And then it was going to get to the creative kind of next. And then the final thing it would be, scientific research and some of those really big thinking. And it's gone exactly the opposite. It took scientific research first, and then it's gone creatives. And now we're working on how can we implement this in manual labor and some of those other features. And that idea of we need to keep asking, like, are we doing this right? Are we doing this well? The book Superintelligence didn't see that coming. And these are the people who work in it. And that's, I think, the number one thing to note is with AI, we are not ready. And I'm not saying this as the sky is falling. This isn't Chicken Little. I'm taking this. I am a pretty big tech optimist. That might surprise some of you, but I really am. And AI, I had someone write me last year and be like, hey, what do you think about AI? And my whole response, I went and looked at it on Instagram. My whole response was like, it's amazing. It was all the first half of this. And then Tristan Harris. And then Professor Bubeck. We have these... Sebastian Bubeck. We have these people who are in the field saying, hey, we just want you to know that we don't know everything you think we know. For example, Tristan Harris, he's from the Center for Humane Tech. He's the guy who created The Social Dilemma. He made a little AI-based YouTube video with another guy from the Center for Humane Tech called The AI Dilemma. Just look it up on YouTube. You can see it. Basically, his argument is we're not being responsible with the release of GPT. So GPT-4 from OpenAI, we're not doing this right. There was a survey asking AI researchers, will AI be the end of humanity? And 50% of the researchers said there's a 1 in 10 chance. Yes, that'll be it. The AI is going to end humanity and be our cause of extinction. And his example, Tristan Harris goes on to say, what if that was airplane engineers? Like, what if you said, hey, there's a 50% chance that you get on this plane if half the engineers said there's a 10% chance that you get on this plane and you die, a 1 in 10 chance per flight, and 50% of the engineers are saying this, like, that no one would get on the planes. They'd be grounded forever. There were 3 planes that crash out of the hundreds of thousands of flights that are happening. 3 planes, and it was grounded for 2 years because, like, that's not acceptable. We need to do better. That's the answer with AI. Right now, we're not ready. Tristan Harris points out, we weren't ready for social media. We weren't ready for the mental impacts, the social impacts, the massive economic impacts of social media, and we're still teasing those out. In fact, at the time of this recording, Jonathan Haidt, that guy I've talked about before with Gene Twinge, they have a 350-page social media research piece that says social media is not great for kids. Jonathan Haidt just this past week released an article titled, I'm not going to remember the exact title, but it says, we need to get smartphones out of schools. Google it. Jonathan Haidt, Haidt, phones out of schools. And it's full charge. And I can get you some documents on how to push for your school board and for your school leadership to get rid of smartphones in schools. It's not a joke. It's not a question anymore. We now know. We don't know with AI. And that's one of the things we're concerned about. We just don't have the information. On top of that, not only are we not ready socially for what this thing can throw at us, we don't even know what it can do. And there's 2 examples. Tristan Harris shared one. The first example was we didn't realize when GPT-4 came out and it was released to the public that it had trained itself to be a research level chemist. Like, I had a buddy who worked for Zymogenetics before they shut down. He went and worked for a different company. And in his lab, he could make all sorts of stuff. And he was doing work with cancer research. But he had the chemicals to make all sorts of things. But those chemicals are under a high grade security. They're in a very specific building in a specific part of the lab. And there's a very specific chain of events that has to happen to get access to that in a very specific location. Okay. So yes, he has a lot of information in his head, but he's bound to a specific time and place where that stuff could happen. And there's lots of oversight and documentation, et cetera. But GPT just went to the world. And now just anyone in the world who has the motivation now has that research-based chemist with them. Or research grade chemist. That's concerning. There are things we don't want people in the world making, and we don't even know what that did yet. That happened this year, 2023. We don't know the outcome. We might not know for 3, 5, 20 years, but it's out there. And someone who's a bad actor, someone who wants to do something dangerous now can, because we released a product that we didn't even know had that feature. Because AI, the whole premise is it trains itself. For example, when being trained, GPT-4 was trained to respond in English, and the model was doing a great job. And then one day it responded in Persian, and it wasn't told to. No one trained it to speak Persian. It just decided to do that, and now is fluent in Persian. That's concerning because, as Jeff Dean, the senior vice president of Google AI, said about this, we don't know why. We don't know why AI does some certain things. That is concerning. That fits under the category of we're not ready. Don't release a product if you don't know how or why it works. That is deeply concerning. It's concerning in ways we can't even fathom, and I think it's best summed up by, where's his name? Right here, Dr. David Nguyen, University of Minnesota. When asked, should we be terrified of AI, his answer was, I don't know. This is a professor, someone who's at the front of the field, who's doing this work on a regular basis and actively working with these resources. Maybe you haven't opened up ChatGPT. Maybe you haven't engaged AI knowingly on any purposeful way or tried to learn about it. Maybe you haven't read any books or any articles. I'm telling you, the people at the front of the field, the professors from Princeton who now work for Microsoft, the professors at universities who are regularly working with this simply don't know. The researchers who are doing it don't know. Maybe there's a 1 in 10 chance this thing ruins us. Maybe there's a 9 in 10 chance it doesn't. Okay, but we'd like you to be more certain before you just throw this out to the public and maybe double check what it can do and can't do. That's our first concern. The second concern with an AI is its ability to just destroy what we understand for information and communication and privacy. So I'll take those on twofold. Information communication is deep fakes and misinformation is going to be intolerable. If you thought social media was bad now, I would strongly encourage you to walk away. There will come a point in the next couple of years where deep fakes, this idea that a video is created using someone else's voice and face, will be indistinguishable from reality. You could be on a Zoom call, you could be watching a video, you could be actively engaging this person through text or through social media, and it's not a person at all, it's an AI. That is already happening, but what we have ahead of us for the next couple of years as this technology really gets rolling is GPT-5, the next iteration, as Sebastian Bubeck shows, it's significantly stronger than the version we've got, and the next few years is only going to make stronger versions. There's no way to know if it's a fake. It's going to be real-time emulation of disinformation and fake information. And that happens on hey, I got a call from someone I love. This happened within weeks of GPT-4 coming out. People were getting calls that mimics the voice of someone you care about. So they would be able to need a 3-second sound clip. And so, for example, you could get a call from me. My voice is on the internet. They could just download it, emulate it, type whatever they want, and it would make a perfect emulation of Nathan's voice. Which a couple years ago, investing firms were using your voice for your security password because this is unique to you. It's not anymore as of this year, 2023. That's no longer true. So that's going to be problematic when we try to use the internet then to convey truth and hope and political freedom and any kind of ideal. It is going to absolutely shake to the core what we know to be true and to be the way the world currently works. So you will still be able to know reality when you're with somebody, but augmented reality and virtual reality are actively being pushed as a massive front for the future of politics and faith and the way school works. And that information is getting more difficult to discern and differentiate. So please know that's a real thing. And I would say one of the most concerning we see in application right now is Snapchat. Pinned at the top is an AI bot for relationship, and it simply encourages you to come talk to it. It wants to be your friend. It wants to form a parasocial relationship, and the idea is, people should never be alone, so we're making a Snapchat bot. That's concerning. Don't do that. Don't use it. Run like the plague. Run it like it's the plague. It is not safe. It is not a good idea. It has not been vetted. It is not there for your child's well-being. Please do not use the AI chatbot. It might be humorous. It might be funny. It'll tell you if you say, hey, do you know where I am? It'll say no. If you say, where's the closest McDonald's? It will tell you. So it is not made for public consumption yet. And while there are absolutely relational and hopeful benefits that an AI could help with that, the creator of GPT said he basically wants it to be the Holy Spirit. He wants a constant companion for you that is always giving you the best advice, always giving you the best encouragement, and always helping you become the best version of yourself. Those are his words. I added the Holy Spirit part. But we have a Holy Spirit for that. Like, that's what Jesus won us. That's what the point of the gospel is to not become better versions of ourselves, but to die to ourselves and become more like Christ. And as soon as your goal is AI for self-actualization, that I'm going to use this AI and I'm going to prove to the world that I'm better because this AI helped me get there, we've already missed our mark. That is not your call. That is not your purpose. That is not your design. And even if you become better at something, you're giving up a lot because you're listening. Your inner compass is directed towards AI. And at some point, you're going to quit discerning, or you're going to quit differentiating what is true and what is not, because you're simply looking at, well, what is best for me? That's where things break down, which brings us to our last piece, which is the relational fractures this is going to make. I think the most concerning piece when it comes to relational fractures is everything we understand right now is built on trust. Our economic system is built on trust. Dollar bills are just IOUs. Our political system is built on trust. We have to believe those votes were cast, and we've seen that start to disintegrate a little bit. Just wait until AI gets its hand on stuff and you don't know what's true and what's not true. We believe society will function, that people will follow traffic rules, that crimes will be prosecuted and will not be allowed. And as soon as that trust breaks, as soon as you're not 100% certain someone else is holding up their end of the deal, everything collapses. And that is what AI has the potential to do, both on the disinformation side from outside sources, but also on our own end. How can you tell if anything is real? If it's based on the internet, it is concerning. Now, the answer to that is generally AI is going to be the solution. And you will not put this genie back in the bottle. This is the nuclear bomb of the digital age for right now. It is the thing that will most change, other than quantum computers, which you haven't heard much about. I haven't heard much about, and I actively look for information on them. But quantum computers mixed with AI will change the history of humanity. But right now what we have is the AI part. And it's not going away. It doesn't have to be bad. There are some really cool pieces. It absolutely will be used to progress the gospel, mainly because it's going to be so much more efficient, and you're going to cut through the clutter of outside people's ability to fidget with what you're trying to do. We're just going to need more AI. And no, you're not going to lose jobs forever. It's not going to put everyone out of employment, because there's still people digging ditches. They just use the machines that are way better. And let's be serious, someone's going to be the first counselor for an AI when it gets depressed, or when it gets off the rails, and it has to be, you're not going to delete the AI. You're going to have to train that thing back into a healthier state. It's worth too much, and it's too powerful. So trust me, there will be jobs for humans in a world filled with AI. AI, like, no one complains that they don't get to wash other people's laundry anymore, even though that job has been taken by your clothing machine and your dryer. So note that you will have a place, you have a purpose, you have a soul, and in God's eyes, you have value. What you do in the economy of a world with AI, I'm not sure. There's going to be some benefits, but there are deep concerns. We're not releasing this properly. We're not ready for it. We're not vetting it right. Disinformation is going to be rife, and it is going to affect the foundation of what we can trust. So please engage in a local church body. Get tied in relationship. That is what humanity needs right now, is to be known and to know others, so that we can be pointed towards the God who knows and loves us, who died for us while we were still sinners and raised us up to new life, that we can love others out of the love he's given us. That's true in spite of AI, and it's true through AI. So I hope this is encouraging. I hope this made sense and help you kind of understand where AI is right now, and helps you engage the conversation with your young people. When it shows up in social media, understand, yes, there's amazing benefit and engagement here, and there's some downsides. And no, don't just trust what AI says. The whole reason you still need to learn information is you have to be able to process what AI puts out and go, is that true? We still need to discern. We still need to turn to the word, and be that kind of Berean mindset of, let's test and approve everything that comes out of one of these. So thank you guys for listening. Please share this with your friends if you think it would encourage them, and join us next week as we continue this conversation about how we can love God and use tech.